I need to get out of London.
I think a nice day out would do us all the world of good. Ernest, you must come
I think Blue's talking about a picnic.
I'm talking about leaving for good. Talking about going somewhere quiet and decent and trying to think for once.
A.A. Milne was very traumatised from the awful horrors of World War I, and it was part of his recovery to go into the innocence of the woods.
He bought the house on the edge of Ashdown Forest, which becomes the background of the Pooh books.
It was a great thrill to go to the forest and go to Pooh Bridge and imagine these are the places that a family played, and it initiated this extraordinary phenomenon that has charmed families and children all over the world.
That's a credit to Simon that he was able to swing it, that we could shoot in the 100 Acre Wood. And I think it was important because it is very much about a specific place, you know, and you can't really fake it.
We're going backstage, as it were, and showing the lovely English life that people are nostalgic for.
We had beautiful days where we filmed the woods. We ended up with a green summer look that we didn't think we'd have. It's just beautiful.
As soon as you put our characters in their costumes with those magical toys in the real forest, it immediately captures an atmosphere.
Ready?
Yeah, same height, please.
Go.
We filmed the real Pooh Bridge, and it's quite hard to find. It's not over signposted, but there's people there every day from all over the world throwing sticks in.
That was really fun. It brought quite a few memories back as well because I did Pooh sticks for quite a while and I really loved it. Me, I won.
Again?
Yes.
One of the things that Will was fantastic at was playing, and really playing. So it wasn't Will playing, it was Christofer Robin playing. And you ever gave him the toys, he'd really talk to them and feed them, or with the balloons, or when he knocks on Al's door. It was always a joy to watch.
You can sort of see, as Milne is playing the child in the film, you can see his mind working and thinking, gosh, this would make a good story.
Christofer Robin is up the tree, and you see Alan and Ernest looking at him in amazement, and you almost see that's the moment Winnie the Pooh is created.
It's a little world. Like you said, 100 Acre paradise.
I hadn't realised that one of the reasons that Winnie the Pooh became such a success was that it was first England and then the world's way of recapturing the more innocent times before World War I.
The nation was very wounded, and here was a story that was very lightweight and at the same time had some kind of hidden strength.
The country is wounded. It's lost men, yes, but it's lost more than that. We need a sense of purpose.
Winnie the Pooh was needed for the country. I think the country was really hurting, and it kind of gave everyone this feeling of innocence again.
There's innocence and childhood, and you know, you're talking about a generation that had lost its children in the First World War, and also a generation of women who'd lost any chance of ever having children because they'd lost their sweethearts. So I think we had a very intense sense of how precious childhood was.
You see, after the war, there was so much sadness that hardly anyone could remember what happiness was like. Then Winnie the Pooh came along, and he was like a tap. You just turned it on and happiness came out.
Pooh already was nostalgic because it's as though the war never happened. So it came preloaded with innocence, and it's only been turbocharged ever since.
They are adorable as stories and beautifully written and enjoyable for adults, I think, as well as children, because they're just so sort of full of joy. And I think even today, when the world can seemingly be so dark, there's sort of like a bank of happy, innocent childhood memories.
It's always going to be a relatable issue. Everyone's always craved something from their childhood or a more innocent time, and it's escapism, and it can take you out of your world to a more simple, innocent time. It was necessary back then, especially after the war, but it'll always be necessary to people, I think.
It's always interesting playing somebody who really existed because you really want to represent somebody. You don't just lie about somebody's life or make things up. Alan had gone through the war. He experienced the absolute worst parts of humanity in vivid action.
He's got PTSD, but They hadn't really classified it as that at that time, so it was kind of this thing that they couldn't fix, and it wasn't a done thing at the time to talk about emotions and feelings.
Here in the West End, though, of course, nothing stops the play.
When we see him in the film early on, he's blocked. He doesn't have the capacity to do the things that he had been able to do.
Daphne brushes it under the rug and just needs Alan to go back to being the old Alan, and he can't. It's definitely a strain in their relationship.
You all right?
Yes.
I'm the same. When my motorbike backfires.
A toast. C.R. Milne.
After Christopher was born, everything became really complicated because a family is much harder to navigate.
We didn't want him to bond too much with the boy at the beginning. That's why he picks up the baby like it's a sort of a hand grenade.
It's a quite typical Edwardian relationship with his son, where children were seen but not heard, and then unwittingly he ends up with his son alone, and they have to fend for themselves, and over time he starts to warm to the child and they start to bond.
Ready?
Yeah, same height, please.
Go.
He finds himself enamored by somebody else's imagination and is freed up by it.
Obviously, seeing a boy access something which is pure, seeing some peace and some calm and some hope, is a very clear antidote.
Come on, then.
Where to?
Home, I should think.
I'm Billy Moon, and you're Teddy Bear.
Will plays Christopher Robin, little Billy Moon, and he hasn't acted before, but you'd think he'd been doing it his whole life. He's unbelievable.
He makes it so easy.
Will's an incredible mix of things. He's generous and he's kind. I really enjoyed working with him.
It was really fun, and I've learnt quite a few things as well. You have to be patient. My name is Will, and I'm 9 years old. I had to do about 8 auditions to get this part.
I think we saw 400 or 500 boys, and Will Tilston was one of the first we saw, and we kept bringing him back.
I don't think I do like porridge after all.
But you said...
I know, but I've never had it, so I just like the sounds. I got called again. I was so happy.
It all came down to a day we did actually at the location where Will worked with Donald, and he was fantastic with him all the way through.
I was working with an actor. I wasn't working with like a kid who we had to try to force into different ways of saying things.
I wanted to see who could rise to that challenge. It was clear from that day that we'd found our Christopher Robin.
Everyone in the agency sort of screamed, "You've got it!" It was a really good moment. I'd really like if you wrote a book for me. I'd definitely read it.
Shall we go for a walk?
Aren't you working?
It doesn't seem likely.
Watching him with Donald, it's great, it's really fun. Throughout the film you see them bond and it's nice.
He's really helped me improve in my acting, and he's been so nice.
I felt compelled to try to protect him as much as I could. That's everybody's job. You have to try and make sure that he's still having a childhood while he's doing this very adult thing, which is to make a film.
What will you call me in the book?
Not Billy Moon, because that's what we call you.
It's been really nice to watch him blossom into a professional actor.
He was a joy to work with, a joy on screen, and seemed to enjoy himself as well. So that was the making of the film, quite honestly.
I just loved this. It was the best experience that's happened to me yet.
I can only say thank you. You've been magnificent.
I play Daphne Milne. I am the wife of A.A. Milne and the mother of Christopher Robin. She's a very complicated woman, especially when you look at her through modern eyes. I didn't want to shy away from any of her faults.
You know, the one good thing about the war is there are lots of marvellous women around like you who are never going to get married because there are no men. So you can take on work like
Daphne.
this. Yes? But it's true.
She could be quite cold-spirited. She had no time for tears. She had no time for sentimentality, all those sorts of things.
She's never got anything just on the tip of her tongue. It's always just right out there.
What Margot has done is not apologise for any of that. She's just said, no, this is who she is and this is how she deals with things. And she's found the joy in that.
Well, we're going on holiday, just to Italy for a month or so.
They were the parents of their time, where it was quite natural to give birth and head off to Italy for 6 weeks, leaving the baby with a nanny.
It's a different time and it makes it so interesting to watch this family dynamic.
Don't you just look perfect?
Daphne definitely wanted to have a girl. I think that made it difficult for her to connect with Christopher Robin.
And yet, you know, you can see the joy in Daphne's face when she gives the boy the toy. It was clear she loved him very, very much in her own way.
Do you have room for one very small piglet?
Yes.
I have some very quiet friends. There'll be no trouble. Do you have any objection to tigers?
No.
One of the reasons I wanted to do this project was because my mum used to do voices for my Winnie the Pooh and my teddies, which is what Daphne does to Christopher Robin in this film.
Margot, when she was doing all the accents for the toys, I found it quite funny as well, and it was really nice.
You do know it was me talking, not the bear. I was just playing, you see.
You see how instrumental she was to the creation of Winnie the Pooh. The whole way through, you see that she's the driving force to creating this.
The evening news would put Winnie on the front page.
Without realizing it, it was putting a huge strain on her family, but she had the best of intentions.
He's going to stay little forever.
Like my boy.
Goodbye Christopher Robin is the story of the family that created Winnie the Pooh. A.A. Milne, his wife Daphne, and their child Christopher Robin.
The film is about the creation of the books and more so the family behind that and how the phenomenon that Winnie the Pooh was at the time and still is affected the family.
We're putting your bear in a book.
He'll like that.
We're putting you in it too.
Those stories that enchanted and charmed the world and are thought of for their innocence and their lovely qualities were actually born in a traumatic time for this country and written by a man who had been traumatized by World War I.
Why doesn't anyone talk about it? Why does everyone act as though nothing happened?
Well, it is over.
What am I doing about it? Nothing.
You're doing what you're good at, writing plays.
Nothing's changed. I think that he found real solace seeing a boy access something which is pure after seeing the absolute worst parts of humanity.
He's keying into his son's imagination. His son sort of hijacks his world and forces him off into the forest to play his game, and he finds himself enamored by somebody else's imagination.
Blue, are you writing a book? I thought we were just having fun.
We're writing a book and we're having fun.
Nobody intends to do harm to anyone, but I think in this story you're really aware of how subtly you can potentially destroy a very intimate relation. And then suddenly what happens is the identity of the child is in question.
Alan and Daphne had no problem disassociating their child with Christopher Robin, the drawing of the little boy in the book, but to the public there was no distinction at all. He was Christopher Robin.
One of the things that success does is trap you, and the reason that the Milne story doubles down on that is that he managed to trap somebody else in his success, a kid, which is, that's quite dark. In a story that's full of light and sunlight and fun, there's a very dark undercurrent there, I think.
And the day will come when everyone will have forgotten all about Winnie.
We won't forget him, though.
Us? Not likely.
Christopher Robin was one of the prototype child celebrities. He was world famous, and that put a great pressure on him.
I think definitely it was hardest for Christopher Robin. I think for Alan and Daphne, they had no problem disassociating their child with the drawing of the little boy in the book, but to the public there was no distinction at all. He was Christopher Robin, and he was as famous as the stories were, so he could never have a normal childhood.
Happy birthday, Christopher Robin.
You've been listening to Mr. A.A. Milne, author of Winnie the Pooh and father of the actual Christopher Robin.
There was a sense that what at first was enjoyable became a really big problem for Christopher and Alan too.
I tried to get that sense of it getting away from them, that suddenly journalists are turning up or fan mail is coming in or they go to America and everyone's heard of them.
It was a different time for celebrity and the dangers were not as highlighted. I don't think they knew that what they were doing was bad for the boy until it was too late.
We've had an idea. It really will be a superb picture. Quite safe. So long as you didn't make any sudden moves, young man. So good for the zoo.
Is it good for Billy?
It's all right, Blue.
For a modern audience, Christopher Robin going in to meet the bear, to be photographed with the bear, is abhorrent and impossible to imagine, but it actually did happen. And I wanted this to be one of those moments where lines are being crossed that Alan cannot cross anymore.
But I'm not Christopher Robin, really. I'm Billy Moon.
That's right.
And you don't have to share me with anybody.
Except Mummy.
Yes, but that's only a little bit.
Christopher Robin said that the nanny was always a part of me. And, you know, I think you could say she saved him because she was the constant, supportive, loving presence in his life through it all.
If she hadn't been around, he would have been in a much worse place. So she was paid to fulfill this position in his life, and luckily it was in his heart as well.
Are people going to look at us new, like they look at Winnie the Bear in the zoo?
No, Moon. I don't think they are, because we are going to go in disguise.
She's just so genuine, so sweet. She's definitely the voice of reason. She can kind of vocalize the things the audience are wondering or hoping someone will say. So she's so appreciated in every scene. She's got some brilliant, brilliant lines.
He has to know he's important to someone, that someone cares about him.
Yes. I gave birth to him. He nearly killed me.
With respect, Mum, a cow can give birth.
She was his mum in a way. He got to know her so well, and he loved her so much.
It's really nice to watch her relationship with Christopher Robin, which is one of the most important in the film. You kind of want to see someone give him the love that he's so clearly needing.
A person should do the things a person loves with the people a person loves, because you never know what happens next.
Al, are you home?
Goodbye Christopher Robin is the story of the writing of Winnie the Pooh, one of the most beloved stories ever written.
His name is Christopher Robin, but we generally call him Billy.
It touched on so many issues that really are close to my heart. As soon as I read the script, I was entranced.
It's a little world. Like you said, 100-acre paradise.
Donald's just an incredible actor. He's both creative and thoughtful and funny and witty and all those things that Daphne loves about Alan. Those things seem to come quite naturally to Donald.
Nice and very quiet, friends. There'll be no trouble. Do you have any objection to tigers?
No.
My mum used to do voices for my Winnie the Pooh and my teddies. Felt like it was fate and I needed to do this project.
Margot's so brilliant. I was thrilled she responded to the script and loved working with her.
Margot's given Daphne some life force, which is really compelling. She was brilliant.
No, was I good?
Oh, ever so, ever so. Shall we all go for tea?
No, thanks.
Kelly plays Olive so well. She's just so genuine, so sweet.
She just has such empathy and humanity and a twinkle in her eye. She was someone we wanted right from the get-go.
She was his mum in a way. He got to know her so well, and he loved her so much.
Where there are bees, there is honey. Where there is honey, there are bears.
There are no bears in Sussex.
Then what's that?
Will's an incredible mix of things. I really enjoyed working with him.
He hasn't acted before, but you'd think he'd been doing it his whole life.
My name is Will, and I am 9 years old.
Watching him with Donald's character, it's great.
On guard.
On guard.
Throughout the film, you see them kind of bond.
Who's your favourite?
I'd have to go for the little one.
Piglet.
We were totally blessed, all of us, by finding Will. I mean, he was a joy to work with, a joy on screen. That was the making of the film, quite honestly.
This really